Are you eager to ace your exams? Are you the one who wants to understand all concepts deeply and well? Are you looking for a fun and engaging way of learning? Look no further than Extra Marks, the learning app. Whether you are looking for concept explanations of practice questions or mock tests, or digital guidance or personal mentorship, or simply an exciting new age way to learn, you will find it all at Extra Marks, the learning app. Master the easy and not so easy topics with 3 different and layered ways of learning. Concept learning. Quick look into the concept through rich animations. Detailed learning. In-depth exploration of the topic in detail. Quick learning. A relook and revision of the learned concepts. We create a personalized path of learning for you, mapped to your personal learning needs and academic goals. With loads of interactive practice activities, customizable tests and NCERT solutions. All this prepared by experts with years of academic expertise and experience. And guess what? You get your own friendly learning companion to go along on the learning journey. Meet Alex. Alex is an artificial intelligence-based study bot who is a learning guide and doubt slayer. You can type in your doubts or upload a picture of your doubt and Alex will answer. Do you still have more doubts? No stress. Connect with your academic guru under our unique program called Extra Marks Achieve. Achieve is a mentorship program available to all students of our learning app, wherein we scientifically analyze your academic requirements, set up your academic goals and accordingly provide you with your own personal academic guru. The guru monitors your progress, prepares customized worksheets and tests, and also helps create a positive environment of study. This guru is available on call, text or email 9 AM to 9 PM, all 7 days of the week. To gain exam confidence and accelerate your prep, attempt our national level weekly test series, which gives you an idea of the real exam environment. Compete with all India peers and get instant national ranking. Develop skills to perform under pressure. Not only this, we generate extensive reports and analytics, which help in understanding your strength and gap areas. They help assess your mastery level in different topics. How much time you take in answering questions. How well are you tackling the difficult questions? Learn the engaging and fun way with Extra Marks. Experience learning free for the first 7 days. Thereafter, avail our exciting monthly subscription packages and attractive discounts. Give yourself the Extra Marks edge. Learn with the best.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Akanksha Juneja. I'm the assistant manager here. So welcome to Extra Marks Education. Extra Marks Education is an EdTech leading company having 10,000 plus schools with us. And we proudly announce our 5 million subscriber to our learning application, wherein students are using our learning application sitting at home. They're learning, practicing, testing themselves, and as we are available anytime, anywhere for them. And this is our second episode of EdTech Hour with Extra Marks. So we welcome you again here. We will have all the leaders of education who will be guiding us and taking us through that how we can actually cope up with the situation which is going on right now. And thank you so much for taking out time and being here with us. So I would start with the introduction of our first leader. So let me take the opportunity to introduce our first leader today, Mr. Ashok Vaid, Principal, Maheshwari Public School, Jaipur. With 30 years of achievements in developing productive student-focused environment to maximize learning experiences, Sir is also coordinating the Central Board of Secondary Education for Jaipur and Tok, working as a principal and guiding teachers and students from so many years. Sir is also a secretary of Jaipur School Sahodia Complex. We are glad to have you here, sir. How do you feel being here with us today?
Well, thank you so much, and nice to be here, and it's nice to talk to 10,000 schools if you have got, and it's an honor to us, and whatever best we can share, whatever best we can do on screen, let's do it. And thank you so much, Extra Marks, for calling us in the morning and utilizing our time at home, so it's all work at home, right? Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, being here with us. So I am glad to introduce our second leader, Mr. Sanjay Datta, Principal, Maharana Mewar Public School, Udaipur. Sir has an experience of working on curriculum design for IGNOU, National Open School, and teaching and research at NCRT besides teaching postgraduate classes. Sir has a rich experience of working in boarding schools and is presently responsible for 3,500 students as a head in the 2 schools at Udaipur under the charitable initiatives of the Royal Family of Mebar. Sir, we welcome you here. We would like to know, how do you feel today?
So much. It's an honor and a pleasure to be able to talk to fellow educationists, because we are used to talking to people as educators, and COVID has put us in a situation where we are facing a lot of isolation, although we are opening up now. And I look forward to talking to the fellow principals, Dr. Ved, of course, Madam Neeru Pathak, about education and its new form as it is emerging. So it's a pleasure and an honor, and look forward to a very meaningful discussion. Thank you.
It's an honor for us, sir. So I would like to take a moment now and introduce Dr. Neeru Pathak, Principal, Delhi Public School, Ajmer. Ma'am, besides the rich experience in the field of education, is also a researcher and clinical psychologist. Ma'am has worked with a lot of special children and has made positive difference in their lives. Ma'am, we are so glad to have you here. Please share your experience with us.
Hi, Akanksha, and once again, hello, Mrs. Sanjay Datta and Mr. Ashok Ved, who are there with us. And it's a deep pleasure indeed to be here and sharing quite a healthy discussion with everybody, because I think that these days we are really facing a lot of challenges, of course, at various ends, and it's good to discuss, because this is a platform where we could discuss with the other educationists. I think that will be a very, very healthy discussion. Thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you very much, ma'am, and I welcome you again, all of you here. So my first question will be to Ashok, sir. So, sir, we would like to know from you that how did you cope up with this particular situation and kept the teaching learning going on?
Well, Akansha, it all happened suddenly. Nobody was prepared, neither we were prepared, neither students, the teachers, and no stock was prepared. All of a sudden happened, and we all went, we were in the school, and we were informed that we have to close down because the CBSE examinations are going on. And I, being city coordinator, I had to coordinate with all the stakeholders of CBSE of Jaipur and Tog. Well, it was a tough time, but it made us techno-savvy. We came back home, and suddenly we had no resources. And it all happened around March 14th. Within 2 days, we tried to do whatever best we could do, because we could analyze that this thing is going to stay. This is not a temporary phenomenon, because this lockdown in the country is a big matter, And we were very aware because what happened in China and all that. So we were sure that it's going to happen. We stayed home. We tried to find out the technology, which technology we can have, and whatever limited resources we had. And within the matter of 4 days, by I think 26th of March, we were able to have our online classes. Now the biggest challenge was to train students, to train teachers, to train ourselves, because most of the people had never listened the name of Google Drive. They have not listened the name of Zoom, so they were unaware of that. So the biggest challenge, first challenge we faced was to train our own teacher, and we could not train them because we could not train them in school itself. We had to train them online. So we brought them to the platform where we conducted their classes and trained them. Yes, there were issues like some of the teachers did not have the infrastructure. Some other teacher did not have this proper system. The connectivity problem was there. We tried to solve all these things online only with the help of the police administration. We could go to their houses and we could give them the infrastructure, whatever we could provide from the school itself. Then we had to train the second part was to train the parents and the students. That again was a big challenge, but we could do it in any way. Now the third thing was, after training, how to deliver the things, how to make the concepts clear to the students. Then what we did, we went for digital. We tried to have all these PowerPoint presentation and all that, and we had the live classes. We took Zoom initially, and till now we have having Zoom. In between, we went for Google also, and Microsoft also we had for some time. So then we made all the presentation, and we converted all the curriculum into digital. We made a team. We had a team. We created a team the work of the team was to convert the things into digital so that it will be comfortable for the students. Then we started passing on those digital on the live classes. And initially, yes, we had challenges. The challenges was about the connectivity. The challenges was about the time. The challenges was because there was a lot of fear and public was not aware of it. So then what we thought is that it is a time where we need to be very mentally strong. So we did three things with the students, with the parents, with the teachers. Number one, increase immunity. This is what we did. Our target was to increase immunity. So we had a lot of lectures for that. We had a lot of training for that. Second thing we all advised and we went for was proper food. And third was how to make it useful and be positive. That was the biggest challenge we had, because a lot of people had an apprehension. This is going to be a zero session. Every day there used to be a lot of rumors. When you see, the moment you saw any newspaper, it had a lot of articles, this thing is happening, and everybody was talking about what happened in Italy, what happened in France, what happened in some European countries, so how India is going to fight. So initially that fear had to be removed, the fear psychosis of the people. We had our wellness teachers, we had our counselors, we had our psychologists. So we had a lot of sessions with them. After around 10 days, I think everything was very comfortable and the students started getting it. And in the meanwhile, we also started getting a lot of input from the NCERT. We had a lot of new curriculum. We had a lot of digital from the different publishers. So things become a bit easy, and which naturally with the passage of time, everybody has to cope up. And that's the best thing. When we were teaching in the classes, we used to ask the students, be quiet, be quiet, be quiet. And now what we are asking, am I audible? Am I audible? Am I audible? So that changed it. The change of mindset, that is very important. How we change our own mindset, how we teach our own technology was the biggest challenge. Okay, but I hope with the passage of time we were able to do it in a very, very positive way.
That's correct, sir. And actually, it was a great initiative taken by you when you went to the people's house and you actually tried to provide the infrastructure what they needed. And definitely, we know the changes have come here. And it's amazing to know your experience that you have coped up with, with this particular thing very nicely. So the same question goes to Sanjay, sir. Like, what all the challenges you've been facing and what all the best practices you followed, which maybe our or all the school leaders can actually follow and maybe cope up with the situation?
Thank you, Akansha. I'll just take on from what Dr. Veds rightly said, that we were not mentally prepared for a lockdown, although we were hearing about what was happening in Wuhan, what was happening in Italy, what was happening in other places. We knew the physical challenges that would come, but how our minds would react to it was something that you could not prepare for. And when he said on the 14th they had got the inkling, on the 18th when we decided suddenly that the last major paper for class 10th is now over, and having a residential component, we should make sure that our staff gets home before the lockdown. We had to very quickly tell them to pick up whatever they could and they would require in case of an extended lockdown and reach home safe. So getting people home safe was our first priority. Examinations were already over, fortunately internal for us, and the results had also been declared except classes 9th and 11th. So the first challenge was that how to declare the results online, because of course you have the school app through which you communicate, but now mark sheets had to be given to students in case they because the sooner they know, the sooner we start our class 10th and 12th, which are the crucial years. And then setting up re-exams for them, and we kind of knew that there would be some guidelines coming regarding that as well from the government and the CBSE. But you couldn't hold the results back too long. So that parents calling and asking us to declare while we were in lines, whether to, because there would be some students who would have to reappear. So that was first challenge that we faced. And then, setting up of the next session, because we wanted to be on time, and having e-content in our schools already had made us a little more comfortable, but to bring it online and live, that training was not given, obviously, because there was no way that you could prepare your teachers for this, that, someday suddenly you'll have to stop coming to school. So the advantage notwithstanding, the training of teachers was the next step. So in terms of best practices, what I'd like to share with you is that we did not force the pace on teachers. We let them use the platforms that they were familiar with, they were confident with, and till everybody came on same page, we allowed them to use whatever medium they thought was best suited for them and their students. And while they used, as Dr. Ved said, we used everything, WhatsApp, you use you go for Microsoft, Google, whoever, because some faculty members were more tech savvy than others. But gradually they were brought to the same plane. And then communicate effectively with parents, because to explain to parents that this is no stopgap arrangement, the session has started in the right earnest, and that you have to take these classes as a school reopened was a bigger challenge, because the digital divide of India also came to fore, which I will talk about later. But then, parents needed a lot of convincing that, it was not just some kind of a gimmick that schools were doing. This was your next session 2021 in the right earnest. And then the school, of course, needed the hardware and the bandwidth to deal with all this data dissemination. So I think these were the common challenges that we as a school faced, which everybody did across the country. But there were a few more things that came up apart from, teachers having to go for a new software, hardware at homes, devices, bandwidth. One of the areas that nobody realizes is that their entire household had to become a classroom, because you have to change the rhythm of the house. We are all used to working with certain spaces, our workspace. Engineers have their drawing rooms where they do their machining and tooling, and doctors have their clinics. But imagine asking a surgeon to perform a surgery at his home and not in the operation theater. And imagine not only that, the attendants of the patient also standing there and guiding the doctor how to do it. So I guess the teachers were, suddenly put in a very, very odd spot with the kind of interaction and the exposure that they had to meet with. And then there's a difference between e-content delivery in a class and its online variant. So again, that had to be done. Moreover, the service providers themselves were not ready. If you see, Google Classroom, everybody wanted to go there, but GCU took enormously long time because their own offices were working at half or quarter the strength. And then the students were left with just one device and no physical help. When they come to school, there are visual clues. You enter an environment which is designed for you. The infrastructure is in place. You have a timetable to follow. You have a teacher who can come and help you. Suddenly they were at home with one device, unstable internet connection, and absolutely no help. And maybe just an elder brother more teasing you rather than helping you in it, and your friends calling you out. So I think it was a 360-degree challenge that we all faced, and most of the points of which were common, but I wanted to highlight a few which we addressed directly, So I think that would be the major challenges that we all faced, and the best practices would be that teachers will have to be given the freedom, You cannot straitjacket this. You cannot force the pace on people. You will have to make it interesting. You will have to make it attractive for the students to come to the class, because now the challenge is to hold their attention. So you will have to make it more of a democratic classroom than what it used to be. That's what it is for now.
Very correctly said, sir. It has become important for us to actually attract our children. But one point you've actually rightly mentioned, that your parents actually need to understand that this is a whole session and it's been already started and we have to continue this study. So we can't leave this particular gap between these study. That's you correctly mentioned, and we will definitely talk about it more. Neeru ma'am, I would like to know from you, would you want to share your experience that how exactly, you faced all the challenges, and then now how you are taking all the classes properly?
Yes, yes, we faced a lot of challenges. Like, as we know that from the 23rd of March, we had a lockdown and the schools were closed. And we were very, very fortunate that, of course, the examinations were over and we could take out the results. So we took out the results on a website. Okay, the student had just to put the scholar number, and it was very, very easy for the parents to just access the complete result of the complete mark sheet. And we started our online classes from the 4th of April. And It was, of course, it was effective, but yes, the challenges are always there. There is a difference between the virtual classroom teaching and the physical classroom teaching. There are certain etiquettes. There are online etiquettes that the student has to follow. Doesn't have to mute the teacher. There were so many challenges that we had to face initially, and the teachers, sometimes the students only muted the teachers. So that was initially, of course, that was the problem. We drafted the syllabus and we worked through the experiential teaching programs also with the students, because as Sanjay Datta rightly said, that of course it was very, very important to make the classroom very interesting. So of course that was again very, very important. So according to the age groups, devised that what would be the experiential teaching and how to make the class very, very effective, in spite of all the obstacles that the teachers were facing with the Wi-Fi, with the internet. As you know, that Zoom had certain challenges in the beginning, some kind of controversies. So we did not go for Zoom, and we switched over to the Hangout Meet, that is the Google Meet, and that was the best option, and the parents were very, very comfortable with that. So, of course, we had conducted various activities also. I mean, say art and craft and dance, contemporary, karate, and all the other activities were also conducted with the children. Some experiential methods, the classroom experiments, whatever they could manage at home, the teachers use those according to the age group, like 1 to 5 with the primary kids, they use different experiential methods to make it more interesting. With the 6 to 12, they had to bring in, like, even if they had to explain air occupies space, they managed a glass of water and telling it very experientially. So that was like wonderfully, the teachers were dealing with that wonderfully, the assignments coming in. But when I talk about challenges, yes, there are challenges that I already discussed, like the student etiquette sometimes were lacking. They did not on the video, and there was a problem with Wi-Fi and the internet problems for the teachers. Sometimes they run out of the data these days also. And there are certain areas where they do not get that very good internet facility. This is same with the teachers as well as the students, because students who had moved to the remote areas before the lockdown, they could not connect to the online teaching. So now this is the apprehension that we will discuss later, that this is an apprehension that our CBSE has already devised the syllabus of 70%. Okay, that we need to compete with 10th and 12th. What about the students who are not attending the classes? So we need to discuss about all these challenges. Of course, we are making it effective and we are doing it to the best. And in fact, we have our first assessment in the first week of August with the online examination. And that too, like, we work day and night, the 10 teachers coming to the school and preparing the QPs. And this is for the first time that the teachers have dealt with this kind of question papers, and we are working with the software. And somehow I always find that, of course, MCQs are there, and 1 or 2 subjective questions are also there with the 2 or 3 line answers. But I always feel that they can always cheat. It's not very authentic. It's not very genuine. So there is some pinch at the heart that yes, probably it would not work out the way that we want. And the improvement examination students were still not given the improvement examination of 9th and 11th. So there are certain challenges. Let us see that how will we work out. I would love to talk to my fellow academicians who are present here, that how are they dealing with these kind of challenges. So that would be a great talk. So, Ashok sir. Ashok sir, I would like to put up, like, this is an academician to an academician, that right now I spoke about a lot of challenges. So I just wanted to know that what are the plans of teaching and learning in the next new normal, and how would the students cope up with academics if the school reopens in November, as it is expected that it will reopen in November, provided the COVID subsides a bit, or the vaccine comes?
Well, no, Niru, the thing is, that's a right question, and it has got various answers. Depending upon, like you are saying, it's in November. Government, I had talked with few senior people. They are basically planning maybe August and maybe in September also. Okay,
Right.
Some are planning in October. But in any case, I think it's my personal view. Like most likely will be in September end, or by October we'll be having the classes. Now the point is, how are we going to start? The MRGD also had recently taken a view and review also, and I was a part of that team. We gave a certain recommendation how we are going to start. For example, if we have to take a beginning of the school, it is simply not possible to call all the students at one go. We have to have a divide. Initially, we might go for 9, 10th, 11, 12, or maybe 10th, 11, 12, or maybe 11, 12, or board going classes. And even in the board going classes, in any case, we have to divide. We cannot call them at one go. Maybe at alternate, maybe half class one day, half class that way. Now, in this case, what is going to happen is, we are going to have both a combination, digital and non-digital. Suppose there is a classroom with 50 students. Say 25 are coming on Monday and 25 are coming on Tuesday. Now, what about those 25 who are not coming on Monday? They'll be taught through digital measures. Okay. So now this thing is very clear. The digital is going to stay. Now the second point is, when they're coming to school, how are they coming and what precautions are we taking and what are the steps we are taking? Because we have to take the steps. Let us take what is step number 1. A boy or a girl is picked from the home. So you have to work with your transportation, sanitization of transportation, and to give confidence to the parent that the bus is safe. Then coming to the school, again, they are students, they are teenagers. So again, you have to be very sensitive at the gates, different gates, how to sensitize that. Then again, in the classrooms, now you cannot say, okay, like normal day where you go and sit. We have to have fixed seats and tables, okay, so that everybody knows this is my seat and I am going to sit here only. So we are going to fix the plates, name plates, something like it, on each and every desk so that a child knows where he's going to sit. Again, okay, sanitization is okay. Sanitization, washing of hands, putting a lot of soaps and cleaning of toilets. We were doing before also. But here the thing is, earlier maybe he was doing after one period. Now here the thing is, a child, the parent will expect that whenever a child goes to toilet, it is sanitized, it is clean. So we have to make all those arrangements, okay? So right from the child coming to home, school, his transportation, his studies, during break, that is very important because they are kids are kids. So we have to be very clear during break, during canteen hours, are we going to have the canteen or we don't have to have canteen, okay? Then how are we going to start with the small kids? 9 to 10, 9 to 12 is one aspect. Second aspect, where we will start maybe after 7 days or 10 days, we will take up 6 to 8 groups. Then again, we have to call them a different stage because now commuting is a problem. Earlier, a lot of students were coming in minibuses, they were coming in autos, they were coming in small buses. Now the thing is, autos, it is not possible. Earlier, the fact was that one auto was getting 6 or 7 students. Now, no parent is going to send 6 or 7 students in one auto. So they are going to have that problem also. We will have to create more buses. We have to talk to more bus operators. Probably we have to have different timings of the school. I have no, I don't expect that every school is going to work the same hour. I won't be surprised if school is working from 8 to 4. I won't be surprised. We are calling different set of students at different time, different set of teachers at different time, because now we have to do something different. We need to do something different. We cannot go the same pace which we are going. In the methodology of teaching also, in case of security also, in case of delivery also, and in case of motivating also. And another challenge what we are facing is, you are also facing it, in fact, Dattaji also facing in Udaipur, is intervention of the government. I mean, there is no clarity of the rules. One fine day, center says, HRD says, these are the norms for the online classes. I hope you all have faced. The central government says these are the norms for the online classes. Suddenly, state government says no, these are the norms for the online classes. Now, if you see the norms of the online classes of state government and norms of the online classes of the central government, the HRD ministry, they are totally different. One says only half an hour, one says, okay, you can have 2 classes. So the thing is, whom to follow? Again, the intervention comes is like when we were supposed to have the examination. Rajasthan board conducted the examinations. We all know. Rajasthan board conducted the examination. I myself went to the collector and requested him, sir, when you can conduct examination for the Rajasthan board, please allow us to conduct examination with safety for our supplementary students. They said no. That means they can conduct the examination. We cannot conduct the examination. Again, the problem is the guidelines, the clear-cut guidelines of the government. That is very problematic. You know, it is actually creating a lot of confusion. There is no clarity. This is what we are going to do. We are going to have different norms. One fine day we are told there is a syllabus. One fine day we are told, okay, this is a curriculum, new curriculum has come up. Because till now, the liberty is first to 8, a school can do whatever they want to do. They can cut back 20% or 30%, 40%. 9 to 12 clarity has come. Okay, so that is also a challenge which we have to face. Okay, so these are the few challenges, and when we are going to have the schools reopen, we'll have to work out a new way also and new philosophy also. I tell you one thing. The reason is, for example, we declared the result after the COVID. We had around 43 students. For example, I'm saying 40 students failed and 40 compartment. It's a rough estimate I'm taking. I'm just taking one example. Okay. For compartment, we were told to have the compartment examination online. But this time, again, the intervention came from CBSE that you cannot fail a child. Even the child who was failed in 5 subjects, I repeat, a child who was failed in 5 subjects was asked to reappear. So when they reappeared, on the online system, you know, whatever online system you take, you all know, online system, at one stage you'll have a laptop, and one stage you will have Google Baba, and Google Baba is giving you the answer. Ultimately, the child who was failing in 4 papers, he passed with flying colors. You know, all those 40 students who were compartment and 40 who failed, now they are with us in 12. Not the point is, it is in every school. Now the point is, when you go to class 12, the students are not coming. What happens, the biggest one more challenge, which I hope you are also facing in Ajmer and sir is also facing in Udaipur. A child enters the class, he switches off his camera, okay, and he's sitting. Either you don't know he's sleeping or he's actually studying. That's a big thing. That's a big thing. And actually what happened is, the speed of the academics have gone up. Earlier, you know what happened? In the normal classroom, it was, I will go to the class, I will talk to the children. Hello students, how are you? Somebody say, I want to go for washroom. Somebody says this, somebody says that. You know, there's a jokes and crack. No, class is very sincere. Everybody's studying. So in that case, the speed of curriculum is not slow. Speed of curriculum is so good that one fine day my teacher came and told me, sir, my history syllabus is over. I said, why? Sir, the new syllabus curriculum came from NCERT, and CBSE has declared that there were 3 chapters. One is deleted. One we did before that. Now when I have done this, it is over. So now we have to meet all those challenges also, how to cope up with the phase and how to have the reliability of the examination to the student. Because every student has understood that online is okay. It is really something which is beneficial to the child. They know it very well, that this is going to stay at least for this session. You cannot avoid digital in this session, no doubt about it. And this is going to stay. But believe me, digital is not a solution to the real classroom studies. If digital was the solution, we would not have Harvard, we would not have all other universities. Everybody, there was no need of having big campuses. They would have all gone to online classes. So it is going to be supplement only. Okay. So these are the challenges, and how to make sure a child is actually appearing and doing his examination properly. We have gone through a lot of apps, a lot of softwares, but ultimately, child is home, at home. From home he is doing. After that, he may scan, he may send you whatever it is, you know. So these are the biggest challenges. I hope as soon as school reopens, these challenges will go down. Otherwise, there are certain challenges which have no solution. Even if you go to IITs, they have no solution unless until you make a paper, total paper, like the IITs, the JEEs and all that, where you have 100 objective questions. That is okay. That is the only solution. But in that case, it won't match the CBSE curriculum, where we had only 20%, as you were saying, 20% MCQ, you have got 80% QQ. So that's the thing, and let's hope everything goes well and the school reopens as soon as possible. But we should be very, very careful when the school reopens.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It was well said, Ashok sir. I completely agree with you, because your first point was such that, of course, that a lot of guidelines would be followed when the students come to the school. But besides, I think that a lot of counseling sessions will be also needed by the teachers for the students to maintain social distancing, because kids always behave like kids. We cannot expect them to behave like adults. They share the food, they be with each other, they bully each other. So that would be the biggest challenge with the academicians. And of course, the second point that we had stressed was the government. Now we are working, what I also feel is that we are working under CBSE. We are all CBSE schools. So CBSE has imposed the curriculum of 70% on all the teachers. But the Rajasthan government says that the fees should not be taken. So that means no salaries for the teachers. So who's going to teach that 70% syllabus? That is the biggest challenge. So I think the government needs to stress on this. And I've just recently heard in Gujarat that, of course, the Gujarat schools, okay, they are not expected to take the fees at all. So that again is a challenge for all the schools here, because you have to maintain the school, and of course the support staff, the salaries of the teachers, everything has to be borne if they're working hard. Like my teachers were working on the software for around 10 hours every day, and the teachers, like 10 teachers coming to the school, working hard, the examination in charge working so hard with the teachers. So I was thinking that whether it is authentic, whatever we are doing, are we creating value of time? So there were so many questions in my mind. So of course the school needs to open, and the government also needs to think about it. So the next question to Sanjay sir. Sanjay sir?
Yes, Neeru ma'am.
Just wanted to ask you that what should be the promotion criteria of the students if the school doesn't reopen this session? Like, what if the vaccine does not come, and the just a kind of a, say, I'm a little apprehensive about this also, but let us see that what happens. But what is your opinion?
See, as far as promotion is concerned, we all agree that it is going to be a different form of assessment.
Right.
Just 2 days back, there is this news item that has come out that now the CBSE is also saying that it's going to be an open book examination this year. Now, if we go to that, you will have to go for concept-based learning. You will have to provide them with a lot of media for concepts learning. And then you will have to track and evaluate their students' performance through the tools, which actually make them come to, concept application. So what Dr. Watts was saying, that Ved was saying that, you have the assessment online, which is nowhere close to what you have in a real classroom situation. Now that will have to change. So we will have to give them, and probably, in this new open book system also, they're saying that we are going to give them tighter time limits and a lot of MCQs. So the examination pattern is definitely going to change. And we will have to start giving them marks more for effort, for regularity, because keeping students online is a big challenge. So the more responsible they become, the more regular they are in their academics, the more self-study they are able to do, the more online research they do, and they come out with, deep learning. And the testing of that is going to be the promotional criteria, I think, in this session. Because it would be very, very difficult for you to, because when we started, we also started doing the same way everybody else did, that you gave them a normal test and you ask them to scan it and send it to you. Now, if you look at the online platforms, they give you the opportunity of two kinds. A, evaluation by the software itself, and B, where the teacher can also then, tweak that auto marking. So online assessment platforms are definitely there, and the good bit is that some of them are adaptive. So the adaptive testing platforms that are available are going to mark different kind of students differently, because the papers are going to vary. So as you go along the assessment, the difficulty levels are going to increase. So if we can adapt to that, and we can start marking them not just on one universal paper, I think the promotional criteria could be, further diversified rather than just the marks that they get online. Because I repeat that what Dr. Ashok Ved said, that is true, that, to just mark them, suddenly guys who were failing in 5 papers were passing with flying colors. So it's a completely different assessment that needs to be done, and the promotional criteria likewise will have to evolve to the new kind of learning that they're doing, the kind of resources that the school can use, and it has to be just. So when you do the actual testing of your, if you see the reliability and validity of your tests, that can only come when you see genuine efforts coming from students. I was just reminded, of one of the caricatures that I saw the other day, where a grandmother is sitting and working on the computer while the child is upside down. So,
yeah, I also. But I saw good.
We will have to give them credits for their self-learning, their, their consistency, and for their effort rather than just the marks that they get, that they will get anyways.
But I feel Sanjay says that will it be authentic to assess the children on this criteria? Because what will be the promotion criteria for those students who have not been attending the classes, who are unable to attend the classes? That will be a biggest challenge for us.
See, Neeru ma'am, as I said, it will be based on effort. You will have to understand that it is not a student who's getting 9 out of 10 who will be marked more than a student who came from 3 to, let's say, 6, which is a very old philosophy. But I'm just repackaging it for the COVID situation. You will have to give them the credit for the effort they have made to come into the system, because a lot of students will otherwise fall through the cracks. In each school, there is a certain percentage which is still not with you. There are parents, who really cannot afford good gadgets. So these challenges you will have to understand, and therefore your communication with your students and your understanding of your students will have to get better. So we will have to make something that I was going to say later, but I'll put it here now. And in fact, I've incorporated it into my first point, that it will have to be an interaction between the student and the teacher, which will decide, because if you just say that, X student has got these many marks, Y has got this much, you don't know the background. You don't know against what background that effort is being put by the child. So the teachers will have to, you will have to trust the teachers with the assessment of the students' efforts.
I guess Viva will be very effective. Viva and oral questions, except for maths, I think will be.
But as Dr. Ved said, Google Guru is going to be behind the screen that you can see.
Yes, right. And online assessment, sir, I guess with a webcam will be effective. So that at least one invigilator can look into the computer, and we can place the invigilators in the computer laboratory or any place where there are check boxes, and we can watch the students giving the examination.
Niru madam, what you're saying, Niru madam, what you're saying, we tried this time in my supplementary examination. In my supplementary examination, what I did was, we called the students on Zoom. They were supposed to switch off on their cameras, and we took the big screen. Not on laptop. We took the big screen, and in the big screen we could see 30 students together. 30 to 40 students we could see together.
Okay.
Still, I say they came out with flying colors.
Right.
They all came. So what Dattaji is saying from Udaipur is right. We need to devise certain other policies, certain other way of doing it. For example, grading can be one of the ways where we have to fight. Don't have to fight for the marks. I've got 7 marks. He has got 8 marks. So, like what we did before, and we stopped the CC. Now, again, if you see, the concept was very good. CCE failed because of not being properly implemented to schools. Now, once again, we have to go back few features of CC, and if we can go for grading part once again, so that competition spirit will go down slightly. They won't. Teacher will have more variation. Okay, from this range to this range, I got B. From this range to this range, I got C. Okay, so otherwise, people are going to fight. For example, C class 10th result, 12th result. Imagine 600 out of 600, 5 out of 500. Unimaginable.
I think, Neeru ma'am, and it's also a good opportunity for us to bring in research-based learning, because apart from the distrust, which we have because of the marking system that we are using as of now, where each child tries to get good marks, so they would cheat. If that is what we are trying to avoid when we say that we, I say that if CBSE is going down the way of open book examination, it would be better for us to inculcate in students the research-based learning, which they eventually learn in the university system. So you would be sowing the seeds for that right now if you were to go for such kind of assessment and the methods. And of course, the MCQ numbers and time limits being short or tight is something that will eventually come into the system. So I think this two-pronged strategy, one of trusting the child and let them have an open book system, no problems, and B, inculcate in them other, the methods of testing. I think that is what is going to work.
I think that's the most authentic, at the most, like looking into the situation of today, that's the most that we can do.
Yes, yes, we can do.
At the same time,
you'll have to trust. You'll have to somewhere start making the students more responsible, because so far you used to have students running out of the class and your success was that everybody is quiet and sitting in that rows and you are giving. Now it's more of an equal atmosphere where you will have to trust the child and tell them, and the parents will have to take the onus. They will have
Correct. That is the point I wanted to say first.
Parents will have to take.
What you said right now, I really appreciate that. We have to take parents into confidence first. They should, if the parents are in confidence, then only because we have to have common efforts. We are going to do efforts, the teachers and the parents. If three are going to have the common efforts, then only it is going to work. And definitely we need to have some other way of evaluation. Simple way of evaluation, the traditional way will not work out if this thing is going to remain. And at least for this session, I think, especially the schools which are residential, for example, like your school is a residential school, you have different challenges than me. Your challenge is a very big challenge, because how will students come back in your school, which I don't have, because mine is a residential school. Okay. And the biggest problem is about the pre-primary children, about the primary children. They are not having any fear, because they know that even if 1 year goes down, they're going to, they won't suffer, and they don't bother for 1 year. 9, 10, 11, 12 might bother about 1 year. He might go for, because it's a career making class. For a child who's in pre-primary or primary, these are the classes, these are the segment, which is going to take lot of counseling before they send their kids. And especially, I repeat, the schools like yours who have got boarding house, you have got a big challenge to call them and to prove parents that your school is more safe than home, which I know you can prove. But you have to prove them, you have to tell them, you have to convince them that hostel life can be more secure than a child living in day scholar.
Yeah, the traveling time is cut out. They're not being exposed to the elements outside. In our boarding, we have already done that. We have sent them the guidelines of how they would be living. So that inspires a lot of confidence in students and the parents to send them back to school.
Okay. So I just wanted to pull you back to that question, sir. Ashok sir and Sanjay sir, I would just like to ask you that what have you done with the improvement criteria students of class 9th and 11th? Have you promoted them? Because CBSE circular says that the examination can be conducted online and offline. So Ashok sir just said that he has conducted it online, but somehow it was not very, very authentic. Like the students came out with flying colors and they brought very good grades. I have seen in my classroom settings, whenever the teacher takes the class test, the parent prompting from the back that please write it, okay, or the students Googling out. So, like, what should we do in this case? Like, how would you deal with the improvement students? Because I've still hung up in my school, and because I'm a little particular, there are students who are failing in 4 to 5 subjects. How can we promote them to class 10, which is a board examination year? So how will that be possible? So what do you have to say on this?
Neeru, this time, look at 2 things. Number 1, our planning for the future, for the next is a different story. And what we did for the this time. This time we waited a lot, like March, April, May, June, we waited. Then, as I told you, we went to collector to get the permission to get supplementary examination. Permission was not giving. Parents was in dilemma. Students were in dilemma because we were teaching them the next class. So we conducted the examination. So this year, as a special case, as a special gesture, whatever their performance was in the final examination or retest, we promoted them. And nearly, you can say everybody was promoted, nearly everybody. So that's a big challenge for us, since they are promoted. So we have to put our extra efforts next year, because we have those students also who could not do well, or who by mistake they have taken science or something like it. So this year too we are promoted, keeping everything in consideration, because look here, again I'm telling you, the government's dilemma, the government's guidelines, every second day you are having second guidelines. And what happened is, the moment you do something, people start running for the state government. What you said few minutes ago, yes, you are a CBSE school, but since you are located in Rajasthan, so you have to follow all the guidelines and the regulations which are issued by the government, and you know it very well. But even if you go for extension, or you go for affiliation or extension, you have to get everything signed by the DO. So DO is also one person, and 10 years back, 5 years back, this was not the scenario. Even 4 years back, this was not the scenario. So you have to be in everything, right? You talk something about fees. We will not talk much about fees, because that is a very emotional topic. Okay, so basic thing is, we have to follow their guidelines. So in their guidelines also said, Rajasthan government, what they said, promote without supplementary examination. at least CBSE said, go for an online examination or some alternate way of evaluation. That is what CBSE said. And for your information, Rajasthan government said nothing doing, promote them. They were promoted without examination, nothing like. At least we had certain issues. So this year we have done this way.
Okay. What about you, Sanjay sir?
As I said, we had the two-pronged strategy. A, you do what you always do, ask them to write full-length answers within a short time limit. So even if you don't trust them with what they are doing, by and large, you have an estimate as to where they are. By and large, how much they'll be able to write in that time limit. So write it, scan it, and send it to us. And then, as I said, we had the advantage of already having e-learnings in the school. So the adaptive testing platform that we had makes life a little tougher for the student, because as you go on answering, it varies. It's not something that you can predict. So you get to know at least how much of concepts they have understood, because 9th and 11th going into 10th and 12th, you need to know whether their concepts are in place or not. They may have not fared so well. They may have not taken these years seriously. They would have, probably not made the grade despite being in the school system for that long years. If a student has been in school till grade 8, obviously he's learned something. 9th when he's failing, maybe it's not because he's able to perform. So check their concepts. So we kept doing that until we were sure that they have reached the scratch. We did not promote them, because there was, as you said, there was no point in promoting somebody to a board class unless you knew that they genuinely deserved to be there. So the two-pronged approach was there. One was keep giving them their routine question and answers as you have been doing on the pattern of board examination. Secondly, keep checking their concepts on the adaptive testing platform to know whether they have actually understood those concepts or they are just, taking help and submitting their results. And as I keep saying, time is crucial. Don't give them more than the required time. They would eventually, you would know the truth of your assessments.
Yeah. So the online examination is the only way that is left out.
Yes, because under a lockdown, how else do you do it?
Yes. Yes.
So I would like to just ask again one question with Sanjay sir. Sir, actually, as we were just talking about the things which actually have changed in this scenario, but we are a major follower of rote learning in this system in India. Somewhere actually COVID actually helped us to move from this particular thing to the online education. So now students can actually learn at their own pace and space and in their own learning styles. So what do you think that this system we should take it forward even when the situation is better? How online education is actually helping?
As Dr. Ved said, see, it is something that is now here to stay.
Definitely.
There will always be a component of live classes or online study in our curriculums from now on. A simple example is that you had to shut down a school when the temperatures either rose close to 50 in Rajasthan especially, or they fell to 0, and there were collector orders and everything telling you that you cannot call students to school, and there was always a kind of a dilemma for you. How would you cover your syllabus? How would you have their classes? It's too hot, it's too cold, it's too wet. Now you have a platform which you have been introduced to, which has officially, because somebody, again, as I say, that there is a lot of information or thoughts that go around on WhatsApp messages, and one was that there was a time when you castigated mobile from school, and today you are running your school on mobile. So likewise, there was a time when you did not wish to go for e-content and you thought the virtues of direct classroom teaching were the best, but today you have been forced to accept it. Might as well make good use of it. Why not have your extra classes online? Why not help your 4 students, buy trouble a teacher to come to school to teach those 4 students who are, as it is, latecomers or not interested and therefore not doing too well. So everybody the freedom to be at home and study. I think it will be more agreeable to them. So this component, and moreover, you see in India, unfortunately, we have always underrated the importance of distance learning. We have to understand that distance learning was was always a very good tool because of the people facing physical barriers to movement, to access to even transportation in remote villages. Why when we talk of education, why do we only talk about a few schools and few big cities? I mean, look at it, pan India. There have always been satellite education that they tried giving, but connections were not good. It was not two-way communication. It was a recorded session that was given. Now, all of a sudden, all these children have access to quality education. So I think it is something that is good for us, an element of which should be incorporated, and you can incorporate much more in a live classroom in terms of media, which you cannot even in a physical classroom while using e-content, because there's always an element of distraction. There's always the physical barriers that are there. Now, a lot of them, and examinations also, you can just prepare your exam, leave it there for it to come alive at a certain time and go offline. So if you've not prepared, you've not answered 2 questions and your time is done, it expires, the session expires. So the children will learn to be more responsible. And as I said, that these were elements which were thought more fit for university education or college education, but those elements have now come down to schools. So it's very, very good that, if we can keep the good elements of this even after the schools reopen and incorporate them in our teaching and make it part of the curriculum.
That's correct, sir, because actually we should take all the good things from anything which is happening. So these things should be actually taken and should be, we should move forward with this.
I mean, why only corporates have meetings off-site and from the beaches? Why not the teachers? You're on a holiday. You're on a holiday. You be on a holiday. Just 1 hour. You tell your family to be out and shut yourself in, take your class, and go and enjoy. Why tell people to stay back and you cannot go on your winter break because board classes will suffer? Not that I ever did that. I'm a firm believer that you should give them their breaks so that there's more quality time spent while real teaching happens.
That's correct, sir. Now I will move to a separate question that is a quite different question about the parents actually. That what exactly advice do you want to give the parents so that actually they start supporting you in terms of all the things, all the problems which we all have been facing together in this time?
Okay, I see. The parents have, I think, started realizing, which was a challenge 3 months ago, to make them realize that this was not a stopgap arrangement. I think into the first month of lockdown, the parents they realized that they needed to occupy their children productively at home. So I think the first necessity came from there. Students, you must understand, spend 6 to 8 hours, 6 hours precisely, and then plus some more time. And especially in residential schools, we have a residential component. They spend a lot of time with the peers, and that is their second home. And suddenly these children were deprived of that psychological comfort. There is a lot of peer learning that goes on. So I personally feel that this is one aspect that we all needed to look into and will be a dictating factor as far as your question is concerned, that schools parents would come around, and then gradually they started watching, they started realizing how we were operating. And as I said, I will take this question later on because I knew this would come up someplace. Fee and parents, 2 questions always come up. Now, it is the parents, the digital divide of India came to fore. The parents who had themselves undergone some kind of digital learning in their lives, and especially of younger students because of the age groups, they adapted to this rather quickly because they knew what the components were. There were others who themselves were not exposed to it and who took time understanding what it is. And what are you doing on the mobile? They would ask a kid and he'd say, my mom is teaching. And he'd say, you're just wasting your time, because actually the child would have just placed the mobile there and gone for a walk. But then parents' attitudes have gradually matured. And as I said, that we have sought the support of parents in the chaperone duties that the teachers were doing earlier. And they have started supervising the studies of their wards. And a lot of time we have to talk to them. And in fact, they call us and they tell us that, well, the kid is not really focusing. So why don't you do something to call their attention a little more. So the dialogue between the schools and students has certainly improved on that count. And parents have started realizing the importance of that. And consequently, the other side of this discussion about justification to charge what you would is also now settling into parents, because they've realized that it was not just a 2-month situation. The entire session is going to go like this. So you have a choice. You want your child to lose 1 year of academics or gain whatever is possible best in other circumstances. I think the parents have now realized and are coming around to that. So,
Correct, sir. So, sir, I guess we have come to the end of the session.
What do you think? What are your views on that? That government has taken this particular decision about the fee.
Yes, certainly. Now, I just saw the Supreme Court verdict today that probably that the parents will have to give the fees. So let us hope for the best, because we do not agree with the Rajasthan government decision at all, because it's very, very difficult to bear the maintenance costs and the salaries and of the support staff and the cooks who are here and the horse people who are there. So it becomes a little difficult with the schools, especially that Sanjay sir also must be facing a lot of challenge in this arena, because I guess that his is a boarding school. So I think that everybody is facing a problem, because everything needs to be maintained in the school, and it is not a profit making industry. So whatever the fees that we get from the students is actually used for the maintenance of the school. So I feel that definitely we'll hope for the best, and of course 30 to 40% parents are supporting, and the response of the parents is really good. The parents who understand this, of course, this perspective, who has this perspective of like, of course, that teachers are working hard and they are working with the children, they are taking online classes, and certainly they are supporting. But the rest of the parents who might be capable are also not paying because of this decision. So of course that all the schools are facing. The principals who are watching this webinar must have felt the same, that they are facing the challenges. There are so many press conferences that are happening. So we hope for the best, that the government changes the decision for good. Yeah, thank you so much.
Right, ma'am. Sanjay sir, would you like to say something about it? The fee decision? And what do you expect from parents? Because actually, I guess we need to make them understand also that.
I have a feeling on that, more than what is just being said, that eventually things will come around. It was understandable, for such announcements to come at the beginning, because people needed relief. They needed, as I said, mental relief. So initially I looked at it more in terms of, telling people that, look, you don't have to panic about it. But then if it stretches too long, it is definitely going to have an effect on the way, because you see, we as a country as a whole, we have ignored, or rather we must say, we have not invested enough in healthcare. And what it has done in terms of COVID. We were underprepared and everything, the amount of deaths you'd see consequently. So we have seen the results of not investing in healthcare. And if you do not invest in education, you would see the consequences. I'll stop at that.
That's correctly said, sir. And it was amazing talking to all of you, because we got a lot of points which will actually help other school leaders. And I would just like to say, if anybody of you would want to share anything, so you're welcome, sir.
One thing I'll say to the other principals who are attending this, that it has to be a community-based approach. They should talk to the parents, and irrespective of what is just being said for the sake, it is the parents whose most valuable asset, and the investment for future, the child who is with you. I think if there is a healthy dialogue, there would be a substantial number of parents who would pay up. There will always be elements who would look for excuses, and as there's no loyalty that 2 cents off cannot buy. So in management classes, we used to talk of that. So that will happen, that people would, if they can have 2 cents off, they'll try for it.
That's rightly said, sir. So definitely this episode was a great success because we had leaders like you here, and actually we talked about all the problems which everybody is facing right now. And I will just come to the close, obviously closing of this session. Ma'am, Neeru ma'am, would you like to say something?
I feel that, of course, the online teaching is effective in the today's scenario. And I think that the teachers should try hard, and the school leaders that you are talking about, okay, who are watching this webinar, okay, needs to look into how to make the online classes more effective, because they need to make it more interesting using more visual aids. And like my teachers have used the virtual factory visits and virtual visits also. Okay, taking the videos from the YouTube and showing them, so making the classroom, bringing the classroom experiments and showing them the experiments. So I think that needs to be done at every age group in every class. So that will be important. So I think the leaders should look into this. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Akansha. Thank you, Ma'am Neeru. Thank you, Betsab, to be with us here. And it was an absolute pleasure. Have a pleasant evening, everyone.
Yeah, same to you. Bye.
Swati ma'am, Sunny sir, would you like to say something?
This was a good session, quite a lot of points, not just from the management point of view, but also what is important that the message reaches the parents, because this is something which one never expected. A situation like this one never expected. What is important and what we really need to understand is that the campus is closed, but schooling and education has not come to a standstill. That is continuing. And because we are in such a situation today, a lot of experiments and a lot of researches are going on to include what is the best in this situation, whether it is in terms of proctoring or understanding remote invigilation, online education, how we can reach out to each and every student, concept delivery. For so many years in the classroom also, we had audio-visual medium of reaching out to students. We have reached out even to the most, the ordinary, the mediocre of the students today. We are able to give good results for each and every person who's there in the classroom. What we really need to understand is that whatever happens at the end of this, and whatever we have experienced in these months, we need to carry all of this forward. And each parent needs to understand that there cannot be a learning gap for their child. Education has to continue, whether inside the school campus or away from the school. Teachers have been putting in their best effort. Technology has been there in the last decade. Technology is here to stay. Just as we have gone ahead with technology in banking and traveling, even in education, I think chalk and board is very effective, but technology and its gift to us in the classroom needs to be adopted and taken ahead. I think that's my, my feeling that schooling will always continue, teacher will always be there. Mediums of instruction, mediums of equipment will change, and we need to adopt that change. Thank you so much.
Add that, Swati ma'am, that what's appreciable is the manner in which you approach the topics, because content, of course, is something that you are into. And we do understand that, and my junior school already has this there, and I have resisted thus far having it in the senior school for our own reasons. But the approach is something that is most important, because this technology we will go to. I mean, we are using Google Classroom mostly. It's fine. I mean, everybody will eventually come around to technology, but it is how the technology companies react at this crucial juncture, which will decide their own statures. So I think that way I must compliment you that your approach towards it has been very, very holistic. Thank you so much. And thank you, Akansha.
Thank you so much. I again would like to say thanks to all of you that you took out your, precious time and spent with us. It's a great pleasure having all of you here. So now I will actually close this session, and thank you so much again to all of you for attending this session. So we will again organize one more webinar. So these webinars will keep on organizing. We will keep on organizing with new episodes, with new leaders, and we will talk about the situation and problems which are going on If you as a leader or teacher or student, you have any questions with you, you can write in the chat box and we will get back to you on this. So thank you so much again. My name is Akanksha. We are signing